High-grade Universal Century Byarlant Custom. Hey, what's up again, everybody? Robert184, 2Rs2Bs, GundamReviews.net, and you've already seen the introduction to this high-grade Universal Century Byarlant Custom from Gundam Unicorn, and the parts as they've all been put together there, but now it's time to put them together and show off this cool-looking mobile suit. And when he's finally assembled, this is going to come across as being an absolute beast of a mobile suit. I'm talking as wide as he is tall, and he is tall at 20 meters here. And you can just see all sorts of details, and pretty much they did just an incredible job of keeping still the idea of the old school Byarlant, but definitely bringing them into the modern era in terms of MS design with all the right angles. And I've got to say that I'm a big fan of the color scheme as well. The light blue and the dark blue together, definitely a lot better than old school gym green there. But just everything, the red parts, when you do see them, whether they're seals or not, are still going to look good. Combined with the yellow and the green, fantastic, especially with the little sticker on the shoulder. For articulation, when he's all put together, you are going to be able to bring the legs forward for a full kick there and even a little bit more. And off to the side, you're going to be able to get them about this much before the side skirts start to interfere. For the knees, remember you're going to get a nice bend down there. These thrusters are not going to move, but the ankles have a lot more mobility than you'd expect. They're going to move well off to the side. The toe's going to bend down, and these gray parts move independently. Upper body now, where you're going to be able to twist the waist as you'd expect, and the shoulder parts here. First of all, you're going to have these parts that are only going to move up about this much, depending on the way you've got the shoulders positioned. Remember that they're going to swivel there on the chest. You've got that light blue part that's going to move, but they can rotate around, although they are going to bang into that part there. So you're not going to have the full range of mobility that you might like. Some good looking gray parts down there at the end, though, are going to show off the circular part. You could turn the arms all the way around there. These parts are going to have a great range of motion here, forward and back. They're not going to open up too far, though, off to the side, but more than enough to make a dynamic pose. Shoulder's going to move. You're going to get that nice bend there with the arms, and remember that they're going to be splitting here. But it's even more interesting, I think, to take a look at the back, where for mobility for these thruster and fuel packs, you're not going to get anything out of this one here. That's going to be on there solidly. But these parts here are going to move around independently. So you could bring this down and off to the side, but not all that much. And more importantly, for these fuel tanks, you can see that they are going to move in and out ever so slightly, rotate all around, and you can also open these up for some big blast looking dynamic poses. Just too bad that these parts down here aren't going to join them. This guy deserves one more solo shot, because I just want to stress again that when I first saw the MS design, I thought he looked cool, but not all that great. Definitely a customized and newer version of an old school classic design. I almost would have preferred the Byarlant, I thought, at the time, instead of getting this Byarlant Custom. But when you see this actually put together here, it just looks like one of the coolest designs I think that you're ever going to see. The angles, the proportions, and all the different moving parts, the oversized shoulders, the silliness here that's going to go on under the armpits, all the green piping and just those wide shoulders and thrusters there. There's not an angle that you can look at this guy at where he's going to look bad, and you can imagine that he's probably only going to look better when he's posed. But before that, just how big is this monster? Well, the Mark II is definitely an average size Gundam over there, but you can see the height difference and the width difference and just the overall bulk, even though he is still going to have the impression of being pretty skinny there, and when you look at sections of the arms and the legs, just an absolute monster here, and it seems like you're getting an awful lot of plastic for this 2,600 yen. The Black Unicorn Banshee here is definitely one of the larger Universal Century kits. You can see that in terms of head height, they're going to be very, very similar there with the V-fins, but when you add on those shoulder parts there that are going to be sticking up in the fuel tanks and thrusters on the back, you can see that he's definitely going to come across as looking like a skinny sister. And though the scales are completely off, he would not look out of place if you put him on your Master Grade or 1/100th shelf here. The heavy arms and the wing kits are going to be a little bit small, even though these Katoki-influenced EW kits are going to be a little bit larger than you'd think they should be in terms of if they were going for perfect scale there, 1/100th. Nonetheless, you can see that the head is going to be just a little bit bigger here just in terms of overall size. But for height, he's just got an edge by a bit. But for overall width and bulk, there's not that much of a difference. And do not adjust your set, but this is the 1/100th Zolidia from Victory Gundam in the early 90s. Here, There were not a lot of 1/100th kits there, just variations of the V1 and V2, no other bad guys, and sadly we've only got the V1 in Master Grade so far here. But remember, this is a 1/100th kit, and compared to the 1/144th, the Byarlant Custom is just going to look like an absolute monster compared to the Zillidia, and of course from that the V1 or the V2, and it just gives you again a sense of his overall size and power. And for one more comparison to a more contemporary of the original Byarlant from Zeta Gundam, you've got the Hambrabi here, which is going to have the cone head pylon up on top of his head, and definitely a big head height there, but he's still going to look absolutely tiny compared to this. Anyway, the one that I really want to see next to him is the recently announced Messala, piloted by Paptimus. On to posing now, where I wondered if the legs, because they've got those unique back parts there for the heels with the independent moving parts there, and the front parts moving as well for the toes, pretty good ankle mobility, things that you would get all sorts of interesting ground poses there, although he's going to fail the flat foot test pretty early on. However, even though he's not going to have a beam rifle to look down the barrel of, looking down the barrel of his arm with that cool yellow parts that you're going to see for the chest and the V-fin, looking good so far. And though it seems a little bit too early to be going for silly G Gundam-ish poses down there, the independent moving parts down there for the gray at the back of the heels are going to help you pull off a few unique poses. Putting the legs together doesn't seem his style. He's definitely going to be more of an aerial kind of open attacker. But with the arms, you can do all sorts of crazy stuff there, and you can also align the thrusters in whatever style you want, because they're going to be on those nice rotating. So if he's getting a Hadouken ready above his head to launch, he's going to look okay too. But if you want to get him up properly in the air, it's going to be a little bit annoying that even though they give you these two gray parts here, which you can attach either way, you can have the action base one, but if you're just used to getting the custom part that's just going to plug in there and then get your master grades or 1/100ths, well, hopefully you didn't throw out all those extra little attachment parts, because you're going to have to dig those out, get one of them, plug it in, and then put on two of these, which just seems like it's three parts, well, two parts, too redundant. I mean, really? This is what you have to do? But once you've got him there, you'll forget about the trouble that it takes to get him there, because you're going to have free reign there with the thrusters. You can move him around all over the place without even thinking about possible weight issues down on the ground. The fact that the toes move down, and I suppose you could bend in those gray parts there, are going to look great for space-like poses there or atmospheric poses. And it's time to bring out the beam sabers, which are going to move out pretty well because you can move them away from the claw arm and still have it going down, while at the same time, because it's on a bit of a ball joint there, you can maneuver it across, and if you were to end up in this guy's grasp with the other arm, you know that you'd be in for a world of pain, even though this is just one beam saber. But you know you're in even bigger trouble there when he's got the two claws coming forward to get ready to grab, and the Asamasino, if we should even bring up age characters when we're talking about Universal Century, dual wielding there with the two grabbing arms, definitely in for a world of pain if you get caught. So that's going to wrap up my look at the mobile suit mode for the Byarlant Custom. Not all that many poses, not as many as you'd expect anyway, but none of them really look bad. But stick around for my final verdict, where I'll have my final thoughts on everything from the unbox to the price to the poses and the colors. So stick around for that, and as always, why don't you let me know what you think of the MS and the video with a comment down below. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. See ya. Shaldol Custom, don't make me laugh. I am a real custom.